Hey everyone, Vince here and crew, That Little Podcast episode number 65. That's right, we are in the new year. We're going to be talking about, our thoughts about what's going to be coming up for movies and toys, pop culture, and all that stuff, and everything in between. So we hope you guys enjoy. But, so how y'all been? How was y'all's New Year?
Sucked.
I
Yeah,
understand.
it was Christmas and New Year. After Christmas, I ended up getting strep throat, and lucky I didn't get COVID like your
Yeah, my
sister
sister.
did,
Yeah.
since we were all in the same place. But it sure felt like I had the flu again. I was surprised I had COVID. I mean, not COVID, strep.
Hmm.
Since nobody else in the house said strep, so I was like, who have I been kissing in my sleep?
I'm glad we didn't get a chance. I mean, with everything that was going on with my last job, going into this new one, which I start tomorrow or yesterday, depending on, because this is going to go up on Wednesday. But yeah, they can kind of screwed up my paycheck, my old job and stuff. So I didn't have the funds to go up to go see my dad, which is a good thing we didn't go because I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, because I took all your presents back. I'll just wait till you finally make it up here.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, my health is better than presents. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, David.
Yeah, it was a very stressful mess because the day after Christmas, the wife was complaining about extreme abdominal pain, and she's been through quite a bit of physical pain in the past. So whenever she's saying that it hurts, and she can't go to sleep and sleep it off or anything like that, we had to do something about it. So we rushed her into the ER, and it turned out to be an issue with her gallbladder. So then we got to stay at the ER overnight, and then the next day she had surgery, had her gallbladder pulled out. Turns out that they did a test on it, and she had chronic. I'm not even gonna try and say the word, but it's when your gallbladder's being galled up.
Was it
causing
obstructed? Was the
yeah?
bile
She had
duct obstructed?
she had two gallstones, but they weren't perpetually blocking it, right? Like it would come and go. It wasn't just completely clogged up, but it was definitely coming, right? It was something that was going to be on the way. So it was a good thing that we caught it before it turned into anything else. But yeah, so it's been a week of taking care of everything in the house, and trying to keep her at first off her feet, just manage her pain, and then over the last couple of days she started getting better and being able to move around and do more because school starts tomorrow. So, and I'm supposed to go back to work tomorrow, so we wanted to make sure that she was going to be well enough to be able to move around and deal with the kids and deal with school and all the rest of that before I went back to the office. So yeah, it's been stress.
Yeah.
So I back when the kids, I don't remember, it was 94, I believe. I kept getting really sick and was going to the specialist, and we were all trying to figure out exactly what was going on. It got so bad that I couldn't go anywhere. I was always running to the restroom, trying to figure out, and then like back then I used to make runs for this company I worked for to different building because they had different offices in different buildings. So I had to go in and take stuff from the HR department and things like that to each office, make sure everybody got them signed for them and all this other stuff. And then I would have to go pick up stuff from the mail and drive it downtown or drive it into Clear Lake. So I was always on the road for a while, and I kept having to go to the bathroom. I'd go into the bathroom, come back out, and just be vomiting, the whole thing. Nobody could tell me what was going on. By the time I went and saw a new doctor, he was like, "Okay, give me your symptoms again." And I named him off, and he was like, "Have you ever had your gallbladder checked?" So they do blood tests and all this stuff, and he comes in and he goes, "Yep, you need your gallbladder out." And so I went in and had grandma pick up the kids because they said, "No, you need to go in this week." And it had atrophied. It had rotted. So when they got in, there was just strings of it to cut out. So they had to cut out that and part of like the area around it and all this stuff. It was like the second time that happened because it happened with my appendix. and then it happened with my gallbladder. And so I don't know if I procrastinate or I just don't go to a doctor, but it took me quite a bit to recover. So when you told me what was going on, I was like, oh man, she's, gonna be
Yeah.
paying for
I mean, nowadays, right, they have the whole laparoscopic thing where they got the robot tentacle things that go in through a couple incisions on your stomach, but
yeah, well,
it's
they
still
did
not
that with
super
me,
fun.
and they took out my belly button when they did it. I had a no belly button for a while because once they put it all back together, it was like a knot. It wasn't an innie or an outie. It looked like it could the Sarlacc pit. And
Han and Lando were trying to escape.
they, I was like, "Oh, did you save it so I can have?" And he was like, "There's nothing to save. You're going to be on these antibiotics for a long time." But then you have all this problem about dumping too much bile into your intestines, and there's a lot of things that they have to adjust your medication for. So
Yeah, and then you can't break down like fatty foods the way that
fatty
you
foods,
could
yeah.
before. We sat down and had a good long talk, so it's been interesting. Got to learn a lot about
She's
a lot of
Wonder
stuff I
Woman. She
didn't
can
know that
handle it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like
You
I
just have
remember
to turn
whenever.
a circle and then she's perfect.
Well, I remember when you had to have your pancreas removed and all that stuff too.
No, I haven't had my pancreas.
Well, what was it? The one that you had that was
they had the gallbladder. I had I had a tumor,
Appendix?
and then I had the appendix.
what was the thing that like produces the insulin you had to have it removed?
No, I ended up with pancreatitis.
Yeah,
They
okay,
didn't
okay.
remove it, but they were trying to save my pancreas because it was in such bad shape. You lose your pancreas. There's not like a donor.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no.
So
not yet.
that was
Hopefully
where I couldn't eat for over 13 days. I couldn't drink anything. Everything had to come through IV. And then I think it was on the 10th day they came in and said, "Would you like a glass of ice?" They said you could have little bits of ice. And I said, "You kidding me? Bring it." And I became an ice muncher for a while.
Well, and that was the one that you missed Ember's
Yep.
graduation.
Yeah, and the hospital window faced where the graduation was, so I could hear the entire thing through my window, even hear them calling her name, and I couldn't go. And that was when your Aunt Lisa came up and stayed with me at the hospital. She knew that was rough on me.
Yeah. Colin, we know what happened with you and stuff with just recently.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, we'll move on from that. We did take on a new animal into our lives, so we have 2 puppies at the moment.
Oh, I thought you were saying you brought in an animal who played like drums and stuff.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
But
You could at least put that one to work.
yeah, tell me about it.
Well, these could be used as sled dogs, right? So
Yes.
he's slowly building his team.
I'm slowly gonna start becoming McCready. I'm gonna grow this out and then grow out my hair, and I'm gonna
he's
have my 2 dogs with me.
When he gets like 12 of them,
In
he's gonna
Texas.
just go to.
In
He's just
Texas.
gonna go. He's just gonna be going down the freeway on a dog sled team. Looking at people.
Well, consider we've had these weird Arctic winters lately. At least
But no snow.
no snow.
No
though.
snow. Yeah, that was
No
because
snow.
there was no moisture in it.
It was very dry.
It was.
Yeah, it all
Went from,
dumped out in the rain the
I
day
walked
before.
outside in a t-shirt and shorts. Went in house, went to take some garbage out to the trash can, and was like, "Whoa, what?" It got really cold real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's been good.
Sorry, I didn't get to the mute.
No, it's okay, Dad. So it's been good. I had my 5 days. I start my first day tomorrow, so I got orientation and everything for the new job. Still doing IT stuff. But everything's looking good. It's been good to like completely forget things that were stressful at that other job.
I love your queen wave. You got that down pretty fat. No, that's not the queen wave.
But been playing some video games and spending time with the family, uploading shorts. It's been pretty nice and relaxing. Getting some good sleep. So I don't have like bags under my eyes anymore. But Edward's been enjoying it, and same with Anna. So, but you guys watch anything last 2 weeks?
I got to watch Wednesday. Love that. That was the casting all the way around in it, the story, it just, it very much did the whole, the IP of it just wonderfully, I think. I mean, it just, somebody deserves a raise for everything alone.
We'll see where the second season comes. I'm really looking forward to it. I thought them kind of using the Harry Potter, motif or the magic school or the vampire school thing.
And part of the actual Harry Potter sets.
Yeah, it looked like it, didn't it?
Now, Patrick sat down and watched some of it with me. He goes, that's this part of the thing. And then Travis like, oh yeah, that's, the quad there and stuff like that. He said, that's exactly it.
I liked all the casting except for Gomez, and I love that actor. I just felt there could have been some, because there didn't seem to be the what am I looking, the passion. It didn't come across between him and Morticia.
It seems to me they downplayed it.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I really want that. Where was my Garamia? Where those moments and her speaking French just to drive him? Wow. The great thing about the old serials in the newspaper, she tormented him because of his passions. And that was part of their relationship. And that just seemed to be missing a little bit. And I'm hoping that we get a little bit more Pugsley in the second season, because I felt they kind of just left him out. But man, Fester, I love every minute Fester was on screen.
Fred Armisen killed it. Oh man, that was something.
Yeah, I still need to watch it myself, but the stuff I've seen, especially like, watching shorts or whatever or anything like that, it's like it looks great, and but we just haven't had time to sit down and watch it.
It's so worth it.
Like what your dad said, I'm really curious about what they're going to do with the second season, because going into this season, there was the whole mystery side to it, but because of the cast and because of some of the things that happened, you kind of knew who it was that was coming, right? In the back of your mind, you're like, why would you have this person here if you're not going to eventually do a thing? I don't know. But yeah, it was great. It was really good. So yeah, definitely get around to watching it sooner rather than later. It's definitely a fantastic watch.
I'm just hoping they don't tread over the same stuff, because they left open, it kind of open-ended as to the mystery is not completely solved. And so It was like in the whole Scooby-Doo moments, I kept, making Scooby sounds at certain points where you would expect Shaggy and Scooby to walk in on the screen. But they flipped me, because was trying to figure it out, and then I always thought that the creature was going to be the cop, the dad, and I was really hoping they weren't going to do the son, because you've got this love triangle, and we knew they were trying to do a series. Okay. You want to keep that going, but they ended it by the end,
and I was perfectly fine with that.
Oh, I'm sorry, you haven't watched all of it.
No, Dad,
seen any of it.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all right. The thing is,
he doesn't care. If he was going to watch it, he would have watched it already.
I'm going to watch it. I just haven't had time to watch it because there's other things that I've been focusing on.
What Vince does to me is he goes, starts talking about something I haven't seen yet, and he goes, are you going to watch it? Do you really care? Do you want to know? I need to talk. I want to tell you.
But okay, you do that to me too. You do that to me too.
I do it to you too.
I wonder where he got it from.
Oh, well, if I give you a month to watch something, I come in to talk about it, and somebody goes, no, I haven't seen it yet. That's your fault.
True. Very true.
But yeah.
You've had enough time to watch it.
It's like, I haven't seen Star Wars yet. Okay, well, it's a little late.
right? It's
I
like,
actually had
no,
somebody tell me they hadn't seen Star Wars yet, so don't ruin anything. And I was like, really?
Don't watch this show, this movie, or any of these things because they all reference Star Wars, and you're going to get everything ruined.
Oh, and then who
Yeah,
was
that's
it that got
crazy.
mad at me when I ranted about The Last Jedi?
I don't remember. I don't
and
remember
I
who that
was like,
was.
I mean, it's kind of hard to keep track of who's getting angry at who during that whole debacle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
well,
it
it's
was
usually Big Josh or who else? Whoever would be coming into my house and then telling me I couldn't talk about something.
well. Keep in mind, there's only one Josh now in our lives, so he's just
Big
Josh.
Josh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say Big Josh?
Yeah, you did.
We had a lot of Joshes.
We
in
did
our
have a
life
lot of
at that
Joshes in our
time.
life, but
Well, on the topic of The Last Jedi, I did sit down and watch The Glass Onion, right?
Awesome,
The
awesome.
Knives Out sequel.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was again another thing where I was like, oh, I know who did this. Let's see if that's how it plays out. And then it got to the end, and I was like, I kind of saw that it was. I liked it better than I did the first one, but that's because I thought that the whole throwing up from lying thing was an irritating aspect of the first movie. I didn't particularly care for that, and I get it was used to a function later on. It seemed like such an odd thing to throw in that movie. But I enjoyed this one a lot more, even if it was more straightforward than the original one. It was
this is
enough
just
time.
an
I had fun with it.
Because Rain Johnson's planning on making several that are all in this same vein.
Yeah, he did an interview with somebody the other day where he was pissed that they put the Knives Out in the title with the Glass Onion.
I mean, it's
wants
in,
each title to be
your
on its
universe, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't understand that. It's like, look, you're using your Knives Out person, like the guy from it. I'm sorry, they're gonna try to, because if no, well, the Benoit Blanc, right, is the dude's name. So he had Benoit Blanc in it. So I don't know if he was trying to go for the whole, you had the Murder on the Polar Express, or right? No,
Orient Express.
Yeah.
And Death on the Nile.
That's a crossover that needs. That's a crossover.
I want to watch that Christmas movie.
I want to watch that movie.
But yeah, so you had Murder on the Orient Express, and then whatever the one
Death
was
on
on
the
the
Nile.
Nile, right?
Death on the Nile, yeah.
Yeah, so you
But
had
weren't
two
those
movies
both-
that were using this.
Yeah, but those are
Yes,
Kenneth
they're
Branagh.
both.
Yeah, they're
yes,
both
and
Hercule
they're both
Poirot.
the same
but,
detective
Kenneth
character.
Branagh,
Yeah.
I think was
So
the
I
director.
don't know if. Yeah, so it was, and he was playing the detective in that one, and it was the same detective. So I don't know if that's what Johnson was going for. Was he was like, yeah, I want it to be in the same universe with the same detective, but I don't want it to carry out, because he wanted to mimic that style. But
So
whatever.
let me bash on Ryan Johnson here.
People are dumb.
Please do.
Let me bash on him here a little bit. So he tried to get his foot in the door with Star Wars and ruined it and destroyed the fan base. And now he's trying to get into the whole Rex Stout's Hercule Poirot stories, and because he wants to do his own murder mysteries.
Well, and he recently in an interview was talking about that it would not hurt anybody if Star Wars went away or if they changed up Star Wars, that people who are big Star Wars fans need to grow up a little bit, which I would, wanted to put a pipe bomb through the computer screen watching him. And I'm like, why do you gotta hate on the people that you're trying to make money off of? But then he when I talk about Kathleen Kennedy and what she's doing with Skeleton Crew, well, it is going to be a knockoff of Stranger Things. It's going to be a group of kids that are trying to fight this greater evil with the help of a fallen Jedi, and they still haven't said whether these are going to be Padawans or they're not. But Kathleen Kennedy just did an interview where she was talking about everything about it and how that this was her pushing back on Lucas. This is her pushing back on Favreau and Filoni. This was on pushing back on who was the guy who just got removed, Chapek, and all this stuff. And she goes, I'm reasserting what we started and what Rain Johnson was doing with Star Wars. So all of this has throwbacks to all of the movies that he was connected to, and everything else is thrown out. So she's creating two alternate realities There'll be the one that Lucas, Favreau, and Filoni are doing, and then there'll be hers, which are going to be two. It's going to be Skeleton Crew and then
the Acolyte.
The Acolyte. And she's already signed the contract to leave. They've already made the offer. She accepted it. But she can't let go and just leave without just sticking the knife in and turning it on everything, because people didn't allow her to do what she wanted with it. And then when she attacked, who's the guy who does the music for Indiana Jones?
John Williams.
John Williams. Because Williams was in Europe doing an event, and he was talking about how that they asked him to rescore the ending because they were filming another ending, which goes to make you think, yeah, all the rumors were right, that she originally was killing off Andy and now she's trying to fix it. And they came down on him like a sledgehammer. That he was first, they went on and said he was wrong, he didn't know what he was talking about. But then the director of that film said, oh, he was in everything, involved in everything from the start all the way through the completion of the movie. So which is it? He was either all in it or he wasn't, and y'all kept switching things on him. And I was like, now I'm just scared of what Indiana Jones is going to look like.
I don't trust movies with time travel. It's just as simple as that. The second I found out that this movie is going to have time travel in it, I was like, man, it's so hard to do that right. It's so hard to do that right.
Right. Yeah.
I do not have a lot of faith. I really don't at this point.
And then the fact that now they won't say yes or no, because originally the woman was going to be taking
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, Waller-Bridge was going to be taking over Indiana Jones's role. And the whole Disney
the TV show
Plus
is about.
Series was going to be about her. And now they're saying, oh, that doesn't happen. So what is this new Indiana Jones series about when Harrison Ford's not doing the series? It's her. Are we going to get an Indiana Jones series that doesn't have Indiana Jones and has her just going and doing other adventures on her own? Or are we going to have him bookending it? Like he'll be talking to her every night. He's going to become Charlie for her angels. What are they doing? And then they went back and re-edited out certain scenes from Young Indiana Jones, the series, to fit this new plan. And so when you buy the newer versions of it, there's certain scenes that have been removed, certain characters, certain older Indiana Jones characters. The old man Indy is gone. So that means all the old ones like mine and anybody who bought them when they first came out, you're going to have a collector's item because you have the unedited version versus what they're going to have on Disney Plus.
Oh, like the original Star Wars trilogy, with before editing.
So,
it's sad that, since I've been doing the clips and everything, the shorts and stuff, because it's me showing, my love for the films that were a big part of my life. So I've been doing stuff for like, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 and Justified and a couple other things. But it was funny because like somebody was talking about how that, the first two movies for Beverly Hills Cop were great. And 3 was, of course, not that great. But, had they continued to do those movies every 3 years, they probably would have had a better script for 3 than what we got. Same thing with like, Lethal Weapon. We had 4 of those and those were great. There wasn't that much of a time gap between the first 3, but 4 was later on, but it was still a good movie. It had the same magic that the other ones had. So I wonder, since we know that Beverly Hills Cop 4 is going to be made, I'm hoping it's going to have the same.
I hope they change it up a little bit. Don't try to keep the characters stuck in the same place as they were. Let them all have grown. Let us kind of get to know them again as they've grown in their characters, like we've discussed. Axel should not be a detective anymore. He should
No,
be where
he should
his
be.
boss should be.
Yeah,
He should be a mentor
inspector.
to somebody.
Yeah, he should be the chief inspector. And have it to where it'd be kind of funny. It's like my buddy Sean actually brought this up. Instead of playing up on the fact of like Axel having a kid, it's Inspector Todd's kid that came up in the force and wants to do all this stuff, and Axel's having to crack on him. It's just a play on the whole thing of all the stress he put on Inspector Todd is now being put on him by Todd's son.
Yeah, it's just sad because we know he had a daughter, but Ronnie Cox being gone is just
Yes, I know.
It just kills me.
And then I know that what's his name? Well, Billy Rosewood and the two characters.
Judge Reinhold and the other ones are what's
they're
his
both,
name?
Yeah, he's still
coming
alive.
back. Yeah. All right. Has anybody not seen the last James Bond movie?
I haven't.
I have not seen it.
But that's okay. That's okay.
It's fine.
I
would have watched it a long time ago. I don't know. The last couple ones have not quite done it for me. So when I was hearing all the kind of mixed reviews of this one, I sort of stayed away. I haven't talked to my brother about it. My brother's a pretty big Bond fan, and he's never said anything to me about it, which I don't think bodes well because usually he'll be the one to come tell me about the Bond movies that he's watched. So I don't know. I might
if you haven't
slide in a
seen
word
it,
with him and see how he felt.
I know the basic plot of the final one, Vince.
Okay.
So
Well, and as a spoiler for any of our watchers, I am going to talk about it because I watched it again for the fourth time. The first time I watched it, I actually teared up because it was a really strong tribute to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and the use of all the time in the world just got to me. And knowing going in, having heard Daniel Craig talk about certain things, I knew what was going to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And it was like, to me, the killing of one of the longest running franchises in the world, because from here they've got to start over.
Yeah.
They're going to either have to start over or they're going to adopt the whole thing that other people used to say, that Bond is a moniker. It's not a person. Every person right. But in this, you remember in Skyfall, you found out that was really his name, his family name. He went back to the family property and everything, which is Skyfall. And so I was like, so that kind of throws out that fan theory. So now I'm just like, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And it was like Daniel Craig was the perfect stepping point from the patriarchal, that masculine, James Bond that started with Sean Connery. And times have changed, and we have to kind of adapt to make people happy, because there's old movies that are not but 10, 20 years old you couldn't make anymore just because it wouldn't be accepted. So Daniel Craig's James Bond kind of did that step through for everybody, and all they had to do was let somebody else pick up the role and let it keep going. Now they're going to start a new person, and so I'm so afraid of what they're going to do with that, because there are some shows that they force their agenda in that they didn't need to. You just have to have it in a background. There's no reason for the main character to make this big, huge leap from who they were, and so, but I watched it again, and the second time I watched it, I was nitpicking it. And the third time I watched it, halfway I was doing something else, and it was just on the background, and I'd watch it. So I sat down and watched it again last night just to give it another fair chance, and I really did like it. It's well written, but they forced that story. There was no reason for him to have had to die because of the fact that he was infected with the nanovirus, and if you ever went around his his wife or his child again, they would instantly die. It wouldn't hurt anybody else. He was infected with it. The only problem it would have been was that if he ever went back to his family, he would kill him, and he couldn't live with that. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, here's a growing point for his character. Here you can make him a little darker and explore that darkness for a little bit because he's deprived of his family. You know, whatever was making him grounded on the thing. We could have gotten this real dark and dirty James Bond for a bit, and then the redemption for him and him finding a way, you know. And it just seemed like because they wanted to end it, Craig wanted to go out with a bang, they forced that agenda into the story. And I was like, you could have written a better ending for this.
So I wonder if it had, because when you love someone or a family, you're willing to sacrifice for them. And I'm sure MI6 would have paid for everything they ever needed, so that way James could have the peace of mind to continue on protecting the country he loves and his family without having to give himself, I got to kill myself because I have this virus or whatever in me that could kill them. Move him somewhere that he'll never come across them. And
Just
then
keep
leave it
him
at that.
busy, because the whole ending is them going, they're missing James. He was a man's man, and now it's back to work and let's finish doing what we're doing. And that was, basically it until you see her and the daughter and she starts telling him about her father. But if they try to pull off, oh, he didn't die, that's not going to work because he took a missile to the face right there in that last scene before they cut it out. And these were bunker buster bombs, had to go through layers and layers of reinforced concrete. There ain't no way he survived unless you're turning him into a superhero.
Hey, crazier things have happened, right? That's
We'll have
that's
Robo-Bond.
that's one of the biggest.
That's the next movie.
That's one of the biggest
Robo-Bond.
tropes. There you go.
It will
that's one
combine
of the biggest
RoboCop
tropes, though,
and
right?
James Bond, and it'll be Robo-Bond.
I'd be more than fine with that.
I would too.
Name is Cop.
That's
It's Bond, Robo-Bond. I'll take oil with a twist of lime.
No.
Shaken and not stirred.
It's oil with a twist of baby food. Remember, we got to get it
Baby
right
food, yeah,
because that's
guys.
all he could
I was
eat.
about to say it wasn't
because
even
it's just
oil.
the
Yeah.
organics.
Yeah.
I'll take nutrition paste with a twist of lime. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And it goes to that whole thing of like, there's movies that were really good and they got good sequels that never got a continuation because either the actor wanted to move on to something else, the director wanted to move on to something else, and the studio felt it was just too much for them to try to even continue to make a film. So we've had these missed opportunities of things that could have been that never happened. And
Alien should have never been about Ripley. She
No.
had her little story, and then it should have been other people who run into the xenomorph. And then you could have actually had a whole movie series about just the military side of it, then the scientists or how, them seeding planets that are, been terraformed just to grow them. I mean, you could have built that franchise into something way beyond, but they forced it into Ripley. And then you give it to a guy, a Frenchman who makes rock and roll musics and perfume commercials, videos, and him like, I don't want to do this. Oh, you can do this. All right, I'll give it a try. Then he actually wanted his name off of it before it was released. You knew we were in trouble.
It's sad
you killed
when
off everybody in the third one. You could have let Newt grow up and let her continue it. You could have had Hicks being healed. And can you imagine an angry Hicks who wants payback? Michael Biehn could have had a whole other franchise to carry through.
Well, you could have had movies with just the Colonial Marines going and doing different missions and stuff.
And running into different versions.
Either different aliens or different xenomorphs or different aliens or like different, factions of humanity that's fractured from the UN and what was it, UNNC?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was two things. It was the two corporations, and then in the second, the script of the third or the second movie that didn't get made, had them break into almost like Mobile Suit Gundam, where you had two different factions of Earth who'd spread into certain parts of space, and they
Mhm.
had that space and were corporate war with each other.
Yeah.
That script I really love, and I was finally glad that somebody did a comic version of it so it could be seen, but the comic was a little lacking. Oh, and there's a Night Stalker 50th anniversary comic that is, I think, out or it's on for pre-sale, and it is like Richard Matheson's son doing it. All these famous horror writers and TV writers are doing segments all about Carl Kolchak,
Nice.
and
That's awesome.
that was
Yeah.
it, man. When I was a kid, I watched that first movie, The Night Stalker, when it was on a TV movie, and then I was like, oh man, this should be a series. And then they came out with the not so great second movie. It was still good, The Night Strangler. And then all of a sudden we got the series, and we only got 20 episodes, and the network really never wanted to give it any weight. But that series, just those two movies in that series, influenced decades of writers and TV producers and directors. And we are still being influenced by his stories. Everything Supernatural. You can find elements from Supernatural that came from that. You can,
X-Files.
of course, X-Files. That's the big one everybody talks
Fringe
about.
Fringe would be another one.
Fringe, yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Freaky Links.
Man, and I love Darren McGavin, man. I grew up watching him play mostly Westerns, and then he became the anti-hero who, was against the establishment, but protected everything. And eventually, I even watched this. I remember we were at a restaurant. It was on TV, and I got so mad because I was like, we were going home after the restaurant. I was telling Dad, hurry up, you need to hurry up and get home. He goes, why? Man, I want to catch the end of that. And it was a doctor who did heart transplants, and he killed somebody and took his heart and gave it to a woman, and to get all the accolades and prove it could be done. And then he was being haunted by somebody, the shadowy figure, who was like wanting his heart back, wanting a heart. And the whole show was him running from this guy. And I got in at the very end. My mom was opening the door. I pushed past her, turned the TV on, sit down, and it was at the graveyard where he's fighting it, and it ends up being the patient. And at the end, the cops are there. He's in the grave, and they're like, he's dead. Well, where's the body that was originally here? We can't find it. And he goes, but the heart's missing. They had ripped the heart out of the character and gave himself his heart back. And man, that was the kind of stuff I was into as a kid. Universal monsters and horror shows and books,
So let's get into the news segment real quick, and then we can continue on with the rest of the episode. What do you got that's going on?
Well, I already brought up the Rain Johnson side. The new CW, which is called something else, it's DC something, that is in conjunction with the new owners of CW. They're bringing back the Flash for the final season. They're resurrecting the Reverse Flash, who's going to end up be one of the final villains. I was like, okay, they're bookending it.
Yeah.
But in the Superman and Lois, they are looking at bringing back a version of Supergirl. We found out this last season, but that they're an offsuit. They're not in the same universe. On this world, there was only Superman, no other heroes, until the gold kryptonite was found, and then it started giving everybody powers. So they're introducing a new Supergirl in this, but it does look like the third season will probably be the last season. And I believe something is going to happen to one of the Kent sons, just from some of the rumors and what they were talking about. If they bring in Supergirl, something's going to happen to the one of the sons. And Mannheim, who Intergang, is going to be the big villain. but they're making him a sympathetic villain. So I'm like, okay, are they going? Because usually when you think about Intergang, you're thinking about Darkseid and Apocalypse, and I'm afraid they're just going to disconnect that from that, and they're going to do, this guy who is an inventor. He has all these super weapons, and he goes into crime to help support his technological advances. And I'm like, okay, they've done so many twists already. I'm sad that we're not getting Diggle as Green Lantern. But that is pretty much it. I mean, I think Flash and Superman and Lois, this might be their final season all around, and this will be the end of what used to be the CW Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Rumor is that the actor who played Green Arrow wants to be brought back, but he doesn't say what show. So I'll be looking for. I'd like to see them resurrect Ollie, just for the ending big battle, since it was his universe at first that made everything possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what that means for Stargirl. Is she going to move over to HBO's new version
done.
of the platform, or
She gone.
Yeah.
Stargirl's done.
From everything I heard, season 3 was it.
No,
It's done.
Supposedly she's gonna appear in one episode of toward the end of Titans.
But they're not even on the same universe, so I don't know how they're going to do that.
I don't know. They had them on set together and behind the scenes pictures.
But
anything
we'll
else?
see. No, Doomsday's going to be over soon. I've yet to. What was the? There was a new announcement for a new animated movie which takes place after the War and Apocalypse. It'll be the final story in that saga of that DC animated world universe. So I can look up that for the next time we do it and actually try to have screenshots, because there are some screenshots for it.
Yeah. Well, I plan on hopefully, when we do these, I'll have a segment where you just come up, you start talking about stuff, and I'll put in the little scenes for it, and then we'll get back into the episode after you're done talking about whatever you're talking about. So
what about the rumors? It sounds like Aquaman is over. After this, they're not going to do anything with it. Rumor is that they want to move him over to Lobo. But what if Aquaman's a hit? What if it makes money?
They're
going to let it go?
Wiping the slate clean.
it'll probably be one of the
already
last.
done.
I don't know. I've been reading a lot of what Gunn is saying, and he's being really vague in some of the descriptions of what he's doing.
I heard that
he's like,
some of the decisions
nothing is, like he said, nothing is out of the
out of the
set in
ballpark.
stone. Yeah.
Well, but the thing is like he's having blowback from the person that actually is overhead of at Warner Brothers. So I know that was some of the conflict between
Well, that was
him,
because
Henry
they were
Cavill
having
and all
so
that
much
stuff.
problems.
Yeah. So
They hired him, let him do what you hired him for. Quit second guessing him before he even has a chance to do it.
yeah, I mean he's had some good.
The mob is just upset at the few good things that they saw in the previous iteration that they were hoping to stick around. But I mean, sometimes the baby's got to go out with the bathwater, and sometimes you wind up with something better, or at least, yeah. I mean, time will tell, right? I really think that this last slate of DC is just them. It's all this stuff is done, so they're putting it out there, they're shutting the door, and they're going to be moving on. We'll see what they do.
So how about is this like a missed opportunity for them to do a crisis movie that just completely resets
They could have
everything?
done a Crisis on Infinite Earths, but they didn't want to do it because it was already done in CW. But you could have done it theatrically and rebooted the entire universe. from the ground floor, and then reintroduced all your audience to each one of the characters in a single movie, and then saved your big crossover movie for a big event.
Well, why not have it to where you do it for everything? It's the Crisis on Infinite Universes and stuff, and have it to where it's like the movies and the TV shows are having to come together.
Well, that's what I mean. You could have brought
then-
Supergirl into that, have her sacrifice herself like she did. Barry's. I don't know if you're reading anything of what's going on in the comics right now, which is kind of just garbage. But he has said Gunn has made it where all the comics, all the animated movies, and all the live action are all in the same universe, except for the Elseworlds and the Future World stories.
So everything's in the same universe except when it's not.
Yeah,
Except
when it's not.
So yeah, you could have brought characters over. I would like to see what is his name? The guy who does Flash from the Flash
Grant
series. Gustin go up against what's his name?
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. I'm really afraid. What if Ezra Miller makes that movie makes money? Money makes a lot of bad things go away, and so
child grooming and building up a cult and all. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I think he's done.
They just need they need to shelf that movie.
Serious bad press.
Yeah, they need to shelf that movie.
They said it tested well.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Even though they took it out forward.
So wait, did it test well with people that don't read the comics or have some kind of history with these characters?
I don't. That's the one thing you didn't say. It's just all the tests
and
they've done.
The edits and reshoots really made it where it's a standalone movie. It doesn't affect anything else. Removing Batman and everything. The biggest mistake I think they made was getting rid of Batman Beyond, that planned movie, and throwing in it, man, because that would have been great. Especially if Keaton came back to play.
He was already scheduled for 2 or 3 movies.
And then what's his name? Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. I have to say the one before I get to the other. He's now going to be directing some DC movies, but he won't put on the cowl anymore.
Yeah.
So.
They filmed a sequence in Aquaman with both Wonder Woman and Batman, Affleck's Batman.
Yeah, and they're gone. Yep, they're scrapping them. You know how much money they paid for those reshoots? Yeah. They could have made another movie.
Yeah, and then both Batman, Affleck and Keaton's Batman are going to be in the Flash movie. That somehow
I've read that they're not. I just think that they're still keeping the rumors going so they can sell their rehashed toys, because they don't even look like new toy designs. They look like the Batwing looks very much like the original, and the Flash is a repainted character, and I really didn't get a good enough look at the Batman.
It's definitely a sad moment when we could have had Michael Keaton used in the Batman Beyond movie and not this Flash garbage movie.
Yeah.
It's also, I don't know, it's a missed opportunity when we're not getting any love for certain characters. And then this goes back to David too, and being able to get any Green Lantern on screen. And it's do we blame Ryan Reynolds for it? No, but
no, whoever wrote, wasn't it David Goyer who wrote?
I think so. I don't know.
Somebody needs to take David Goyer off superhero movies. I'm sorry. I love him. He's a good writer. Stay away from, some of our characters. Because he's another deconstructionist. Let's break down the heroes, and break them into something. Sometimes you don't need that. You just need them to be who they are, But in the comic, they're turning into Superman into a god now. He's going to be so powerful. He'd be the most powerful being in the DC universe. And I'm like, wait a minute. The whole problem with Superman was he was too powerful. That's why after Crisis, they hired John Bryan to tone him down and make him a little bit more realistic. Because if you have him too powerful, you can't write stories where he's going to run into trouble.
Well, we have already had a God Superman. That was All-Star Superman. It was a one-shot. one-shot series, so or mini series.
I mean, how many times you got to reinvent your universe? Every 5 years they're redoing it.
Well, and then we still got Marvel on the other token with things, and they're going to bring in the X-Men, but we don't know how that's going to be implemented because nothing's really kind of been set in stone, other than the fact, hey, here's titles of movies that are going to be coming out, but nothing.
Well, I know people are wanting the X-Men to come in, but I don't think they're coming into this phase. I believe they'll be in either
No.
the next phase or the one after that. Right now, they're concentrating on Fantastic Four and the big expansive space threats and alternate dimension threats. X-Men are going to be your Earth people.
Yeah.
Please don't stick them with Starjammers and immediately throw them into outer space fighting the Brood. Please
Yeah.
don't.
Oh,
Well,
But they're going to say mutants have already existed.
yeah.
That was the whole reason behind what they did with Namor and Cyclops.
Just Marvel.
There's a character in one of the movies that they're doing cosplay, and there's Cyclops. I think wasn't it Miss Marvel? Or is it going to be the Marvels? I don't remember which one, but there's somebody who's in cosplay as Cyclops, and they've already showed figures for the next gen, and there's some characters that are designed to look like they look. So what I believe is going to happen is there's going to be mutants already existing, but they're not together. There are humans that have mutant powers that exist. Because if you've got Cyclops and somebody's dressing up like him, that means somebody in the universe has seen him.
yeah,
And
seen
he has
Cyclops
a
running
costume.
around.
So what I think is going to happen is this is all going to revolve around the not Secret War, but after Secret War, the big
Secret Invasion that they're doing, or whatever it is, or
Secret Invasion is coming. It's going to be Kang Dynasty, then Secret Wars.
yeah.
Secret Wars is what I'm talking about. There's the one with the Skrull is first
Secret Invasion.
with Nick Fury's Secret Invasion. Then we've got the Kang Dynasty with which kicks off with Ant-Man and Wasp. And then we have the
Quantumania.
Secret Wars. And I think Secret Wars is going to be when we start seeing all these characters, all these alternate characters, all this on this new world. And then they're going to fix it, reset the universe, and all of a sudden we're going to see newer characters come in. There's even rumors. I mean, and I've seen interviews with the guy who played Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. saying he's coming back.
I'll come back for something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not. Somebody was like, "Are you coming back as a ghost? Are you going to be a hologram?" He goes, "No, I'm back." And he was sitting next to his wife. They were doing an interview, and he said, "I really like what I've been shown where they're going with the Marvel Universe."
Well, what you
So
do
does
is
that mean we're going to get Chris Evans back, and are we going to have Chris Evans running around as Captain America and possibly the Human Torch? Because there's rumors that some of the characters from the previous Fantastic Four movies are going to be in these.
Yeah, Secret Wars is supposed to have X-Men, the different Spider-Mans, all that other stuff.
This will be fantastic.
Did you hear about who is going to be a member of the Thunderbolts and then supposed to be the main villain at the end of it?
Yeah, I saw it, the whole
Sentry.
the picture. They show all of them. I don't remember who's going to be the villain.
Sentry.
Sentry,
Saying,
that's right.
They're saying that Sentry is
yeah.
going to be a character created by Valentina, and then he goes rogue, and then the Thunderbolts have to go and stop
You got to
Sentry.
stop him, yeah. And then I also heard that they're going to introduce. There's a new Spider-Man cartoon coming out that's going to be in the continuity.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Parker older and not so much the kid stuff, not an origin, but they're going to introduce Harry and Norman into the Spider Universe through the cartoon first. So I'm like, okay, I could see that. I mean, look at what they did with the Watcher and the What Ifs. They introduced a lot of stuff that are going to be in this phase.
Well, and it gives them the opportunity for Peter to meet Harry at college. They become friends that way instead of him not being, going to school with them as friends.
Right.
to introduce the Osborn. So, and then that'd be good because I'd like to actually see a traditional Green Goblin on screen fighting Peter.
Well, and what's great about it is now that we've already had Norman the bad guy in it, it'd be great to have Norman as a good guy or if he becomes the Green Goblin, it's a sympathetic goblin where he's trying to cure him or something like that, or it's his son Harry who becomes the Goblin and Norman is trying to help Peter to cure him. I don't know where they're going to go with this. There's a lot of possibilities, but that way it gives them, the writers, room to create something new that we haven't seen before.
Well, we can introduce Hobgoblin finally and stuff and have that going around. I mean, there's a whole villains gallery that he has, rogues gallery that he has that could be tapped into, and especially like the Chameleon, and we got Craven coming.
Craven gets his own movie first. I want to see a good Chameleon. It's been a missed problem with them always focusing on certain characters over and over and over again. When Chameleon could have been a whole villain all by himself, instead of making Mysterio make him look like the killer or doing all that stuff, that should have been the Chameleon doing it, because Chameleon framed Spider-Man several times.
Well, you could have had a J. Jonah Jameson doing it, paying him to do it because he's a menace, But there's a lot of missed opportunities that we're not getting, but I hope we will. Especially considering we're going to be getting Spider-Man 4 officially, as far as the
now it's official,
with
and
Tobey
supposed to be
Maguire
signed for 3 more movies. He's discussing a contract for 3 more movies after 4. But doesn't know if that's Sony or Marvel and Sony.
We might get an actual live action Into the Spider-Verse. So
I'm fine with it just being the animated movies. Huh?
I said, isn't that kind of what we're getting now? Just with
that's basically what No Way Home was, kind of, right?
Yeah.
In the start of it, yeah, it was. But I mean, there's an opportunity to have other characters start showing up. It'd be kind of cool is have the animated version of Miles just show up in it, because he's from that universe of being animated. There's no reason why you couldn't have characters that are not lifelike show up as Spider-Man, different versions of themselves.
So wait, are you saying you want him to show up as a live action version of that one, or you want to go full Roger Rabbit and have it?
You could do full Roger Rabbit.
I'm hoping that we have some of that in the new one.
Yeah,
I hope that we have a live action person in the animated universe. Reverse it, have a human in the animated universe instead of the other way around.
Now,
but the emissary as he is into the next Spider-Verse movie.
Well, and everything Sony is revolving around the Madam Web story.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be the link to the Spider-Verse. And I'm looking forward to see what they do with her.
So what I just heard you say, though, is that you hate CG artists and you want them all to die by putting a live action person into a CG movie, because that, I think, would be nightmarish to pull up.
Why? Roger Rabbit was fantastic.
Yes,
right, but Roger Rabbit is a single animated figure inside of a live action space. Now you're going to be taking, and think of what the actor is going to have to do. The actor's he's not going to be able to play. He's going to be playing off a bunch of green dummies, right? The actor's going to be playing off a bunch of green dummies walking around doing stuff, right?
But these people are paid to lie to their public. I don't care.
Come on. When they were fighting the Hulk, they had a guy with a stick and a head.
Okay.
Yeah, and look at Thanos. Thanos was a fully CGI character.
Yeah.
But again, that was one character in a live action.
Oh no! Come on.
You're talking about
last 2 Avengers movies were full of CGI characters.
Well, but the thing is,
I got that.
Well, but keep in mind.
But think about this. One of the biggest complaints that's been going on with Marvel for this entire phase, right, has been the CG and a lot of the sets, with the fact that they went to that weird giant dome structure thing where you could just tell nothing in this area is real. It's
but Lucas started that with the prequels.
Yeah, right.
None of there were almost no sets built for the prequels. It was all green screen.
Well, sure, but it's can they? I don't know. It's an interesting idea, I just felt like joking that you're trying to murder a bunch of CG artists for
No,
trying
no,
to
no.
cram in
But
a person into
I'm
that.
trying to get people back to work, man. That's a lot of people going to have to be doing render.
No, the CG artists have more than enough work right now. CG artists are like just they've got multiple PCs around them. They're just on fire as they're trying to work through the
Can you
backlog
imagine
of bullshit.
you're doing this
right
stuff,
now.
and all of a sudden you actually mess up one of your characters. So you've got a T-Rex with the Incredible Hulks because you're working on 2 movies at the same time. All of a sudden, the T-Rex's head turns into the Hulk, and he's like, "Oh, I messed that up. Oh no, that's perfect. Let's keep."
I uploaded the wrong
Mhm.
file to this part here and this one layer.
Right.
Okay, I have to bring up while we're all talking about Marvel, about I can't pronounce his last name. Hawkeye.
Oh, Jeremy Renner.
Renner.
Jim Renner, yeah.
Yes.
And
he's in the hospital.
man, I saw that last night come across my phone with the news alerts and at 1:00, and I was like trying to figure out what was going on, and they had said they were life lighting him, and then Anna said something. I said, "Yeah, I'm trying to find out more," and they are still not talking about what happened.
Nope.
You know,
No
but
going
how
into it. That's it.
I thought he was going to have a bigger role in the new Daredevil. I know that they had him retired and that he wasn't going to be doing a whole lot, but I thought he was going to have a role because he was so important to
Echo.
the Kingpin and the girl who he shot
Echo.
him in the head, and then the other archer he was training. So, I mean, wow. I hope he's survival is first.
Yeah.
But
Last
who
thing I saw, they
knows?
said he was stable.
Yeah.
He is
Last
stable, but he's
last headline I
critical.
saw was that he's critical, but he's stable. So
Oh, yeah.
hopefully he doesn't take a turn. And is
But
able
I'm
to
trying to
stay
figure
on
out
that
what was he
stable
doing?
path to
Donuts?
help.
Was he driving a snowplow?
He was dressed. He was playing the role of Homer Simpson in the new Simpsons live action movie. And
Oh,
Mr. Plow, Mr. Plow.
jeez, man! Just
Uh,
that's how fast we can lose
lose our life.
somebody.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at like people don't think about it, but like the Crow. If we hadn't had somebody who looked like
Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee,
Yeah,
we would have
with
never
the-
got that movie finished. And as it was, we almost didn't get any sequels. Lucky enough they got
That
smart
probably
enough
would
to
have
go,
been better
hey,
though.
well, no, because the Crow books had different versions of the Crow. One of my favorite was the Civil War with the Indian. And then there was the
I don't
Preacher
remember that
one.
movie though.
No, they're
I
not.
don't remember
But
that
they were
movie.
Come out as a
comics,
movie.
and then they became movies.
Right.
No, the Civil War one never got made. But they did do with Eddie Furlong.
Yeah, Eddie Furlong
With
and
the devil worshipping cultists. But I've always loved the Crow, and I thought it couldn't go anywhere else with Eric Draven. His story was completed.
yeah.
But because he died, the film franchise almost became taboo. Nobody wanted to touch it, and I was glad that somebody said, "Hey, look, we got to keep going with this, even if it's a tribute, to who we lost." But too often we lose a main character and it's over with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just
I have
thinking
yet
about
to
that,
see
I mean,
Black
you're talking about
Panther 2. Yeah, I still have to see that.
I mean, you're
July or January 20th. It's I believe
It drops on Disney.
Disney Plus.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
On it forever.
So, but I mean, you're talking about losing someone in the middle of filming. Like, what about like Paul Walker, right? And him going out the way that he did, right?
He
as
did.
the Fast series was starting to launch off again, right? And then
Yeah.
he goes.
And lucky enough,
I mean,
his brother looked enough like him that he could do the CGI with CGI masking.
Yeah, to be able to do
But-
that tribute to him at the end of the one.
Well, you got Heath
And they
Ledger.
didn't kill him off either. That was great that he didn't die.
No, he didn't die.
Just had him go
Yeah.
off to have his happy ending.
Take care of the
Uh,
kids. Be that family man. But Heath Ledger, what happened to him? Could you imagine what could have happened had he survived? I mean, the Joker he could have continued on with.
Okay. Jeremy Renner suffered blunt chest trauma, required second surgery after snow plowing incident.
I wonder if it got
Jeez.
away from him and it hit him.
Yeah, he
swung
might
I
back
have-
don't know.
and hit
It's
him.
on CNN right now.
Oh man.
And
That's crazy.
the other big thing of the day, there was the Buffalo Bills are playing earlier live. One of their players just drops on the field. He's in critical condition. They had to do CPR on the field on him to get him
Oh,
up.
geez.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that is
there was
tonight.
There was a former player that just recently passed too, from
Yes.
like it was a Jaguars player that passed away. I don't think he was active. I think he was a former player
Yeah, he
that was only like mid 30s or something like that, and he passed away as well. That was crazy. It's thing that's
No, it's
always right around
what
the
is
corner.
sad is we lost one of the, I think it was one of the pointers, all in that first 24 hours into
this year.
2023. There were people injured and hurt. You know, it's like, man, you just gonna get a jump start on the year, huh? You know, couldn't
Well,
give us a break.
I mean, it's always just around the corner.
When we talked about this before, previews and some of the most recent podcasts we had, you know, it's sad that like a lot of films and TV shows are getting shelved because money reasons or them going in a different direction. But you have these actors that are ready to go to play these own roles that they're gone now, you know, so it completely changes what you were trying to do with the story. And David Warner is a great one with the fact of like with them working on Tron 3 before Star Wars came. And then when Star Wars, they might purchase Star Wars, Tron 3 went out the window. And yeah, it just sucks.
And then when they do get a hold of a property, they drive it into the ground, like the Willow. Man, what a piece of junk.
Jesus. That
You know, as much as I did not like the books, I mean, I liked them, but I didn't. Making Willow change into like a half human, growing, and then everything that happened in the stories was still better than what we got this time around.
Yeah. I mean, like what you were talking about earlier about seeing character growth, right? Willow in this series, it's like he's gone nowhere. He's still barely able to do magic. Yeah, he understands a little bit more, but the show almost feels like it goes out of his way to show how, yeah, Willow isn't powerful at all. It's like, okay, well, what has he been doing this whole time? Like his bag of tricks is still the sleight of hand stuff that he does. That's his best go-to for the most part. It doesn't make sense.
At the end of the first movie, you know, he goes back to his mentor.
Real magic.
He was going to be training under his mentor to learn real magic.
Real magic.
And plus he had Ringuizel with him that could have taught him more stuff at any point in time.
Yeah.
So it's like what you did was you turned him into an NPC in this Willow MMORPG with people that don't know the lore. They just want to play the game and they want to go on raids. And Willow's that NPC character is like, oh yes, I can only do this here, sleight of hand magic. He has no personality. He's not the same character.
I mean, just outside of that, right? Like outside of just the Willow side, the characters that they do have, again, like so, it goes back again to the stuff that I've talked about before, where they go for these beats, for these moments with these characters that they aren't earned at all. Like the one I pointed out, I think in one of the previous episodes was the red-haired girl, right? Her knight self, right? And then her mentor and having to slay her mentor, and it was supposed to be this big emotional moment, but it's like that was what, the third episode, and they hadn't had barely any screen time together. There was a little bit in the very first episode, and then there was nothing, and then she meets him again, and then has to kill him. And it's like you didn't get this whole bond, mother,
same thing they did
father,
with
daughter.
Kenobi.
None of that was there.
Yeah,
right. And so they keep rushing to do this thing, and it's like, okay, could we have cut out the sequence with the weird lumberjack women that went nowhere, and then they got murdered for no reason, right? They were just there and happened. How about you just take that part of the show out, and then have like redhead girl get separated from the group, meet up with her mentor, and be able to show like her working with him for a little bit before realizing, oh wait, no, he's actually turned, and then she has to fight him, right? You could have done that all in that one episode, but instead we had to waste time on something completely ancillary that I haven't watched anything past the fourth episode. And Amber dropped out of it. I dropped out of it. So I don't know if they ever go back around to the lumberjack women. Maybe they play some big part later on, but
I gave it
it's
3
so
episodes
dumb.
and I was done. You know, and I want to make 2 points. One, I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead had more character development and more story in one than a whole season of some of this crap we're getting, you know, on these other channels. Now, Ron Howard is up for leading Lucasfilms. He is the primary person they're trying to get to take over Lucasfilm. I thought they should have done Favreau, but I think he doesn't want that.
Yeah,
He wants to just handle what he's doing with Star Wars.
because it might stifle
So,
his
yeah.
creativity.
And so Ron Howard and Lucas were the people who gave us the original Willow. So can you imagine if they had teamed up again, where it would have gone? You know, and then now we're getting final confirmation that they're bringing Rey back. She's going to be Obi-Wan, not a Luke Skywalker. Her parents were one of Obi-Wan's children and Emperor Palpatine's daughter, I think. And he had turned on his father, fled with her, and hid the fact that he had a child. That child is Rey. And they're going to change her whole origin and her power structure and try to explain why. From what I read, the one guy who wrote the script that Kathleen Kennedy threw out, they're going back with some of the elements he had plus their own changes, and they're going to be using Ahsoka, Mandalorian 3 to realign the universe, but Disney was adamant that they didn't want to just waste the sequels. They want to save them. To me, you should have made them a hypersleep nightmare and just moved on. But
you could have just done a Dallas. You know, you could have had it to where, like, you know, they retcon it with time travel with the Wills. You know, Mandalorian
and the Wills are back. You know, that part is
Alec
coming
Guinness
back
in the
in.
shower.
Yeah, he's all like, oh man,
I like the CGI Alec Guinness. Yeah, I mean, some people should not be allowed to think with certain things. I mean, if you look at all the Timothy Vaughn books, the something Jordan, I can't remember. These characters understood. These writers understood these stories. You should let them write some of the scripts.
Yeah,
you know,
we've talked about this on Link, I think most of last year, about the problems of Star Wars. But it's sad when, you know, we have people in power that want to change how the story structure has been done for 3 decades. And, you know, they want to interject themselves as these characters. So it's like fan fiction all over again. It's like, oh, I want to be a character in the Dragon Ball Z universe, and then Goku's going to get killed and I'm going to become the main hero. What? Get out of here.
You said Goku. I gotta say something. Have y'all seen these micro speakers that are Tesla coils? They're miniature. And so
No.
you can put things on them like action figures and other things, and you pump a beat through, but you can't play it for longer than 10 minutes or you burn out the system. But as the beats are going, it causes the electrical energy pulse and it shoots electricity out of them. You see all that plasma
I've seen
stuff coming off of them. Somebody put one up today. Was Vegeta like working out, and he's like in the horse riding stance, and he's like grunting, and he plugs it right in Vegeta's behind. And Vegeta's like, ugh! And as he's doing it, the electricity's coming off from shooting off the weights and everything. And I just, in my mind, it was like, it's up 9,000. You know, it's like up his butt 9,000. And I was like, wow, I would have never thought to have done that. You know, it was great to look at, but I just wonder if it's, you know, wow, you've got to have a timer on them. You cannot play a beat through them longer than 10 minutes before you let them cool down. Or something in it doesn't get a chance to cool off and it'll burn up. They range from $29 to $60 for the size and stuff, so you can get them pretty big. But can you imagine getting a Godzilla to put on one of those so that you can make It
His-
goes
his
always to
spines
the
light
highest
up?
points. His spines would light up. His around his head would light up. His teeth would light up. That would be awesome. But for me, I just leave it on and burn it out, and then that would be $29 I don't get back.
Well, we can make a short out of it, and then hey, there you go.
Stop
But what you could do is do some
Good job,
LED.
yeah.
I mean, LED work that would work. LED runner lights up his spine.
But
Yeah.
I've seen people
Yeah,
do
I
it with
saw-
Goku. I've seen them do it with like, what was his name? But not Boruto, Naruto, with
Oh.
Naruto figures and stuff, and they looked really cool. Somebody even stuck a Chainsaw Man figure on one of them, and so he had like electricity coming off the chainsaw. It's wherever there's a peak, that's where the electricity shoots up, and then if there's enough space to gap over and jump, it'll jump. So you can make them look like they're shooting power between their hands and all this other stuff. You know,
I wonder what would happen if you put an action figure in a Tesla ball.
I have no idea. Probably the same thing. You know, as long as it's grounded and it won't burn up. You know, as
I
long
mean-
as it has some way for the electricity to flow through it without stopping.
Yeah, I mean, because if you always said, those things were on for hours at Spencer.
Oh yeah, and then I can remember if you were close to one, like in the front
Yeah.
row, and they turned it on, your hair would start to go up. You
So
know?
I would want to get one of those. Put like I don't know I don't know. Get an electro figure. They're not worth much.
That would be great. Electro, man, that would be
Put him
awesome.
in there. Make a electro snow globe out of
No,
it.
no, no. What you do is you get a gremlin, one of the NECA gremlins, and put it in there so it slowly starts to just completely electrify.
Yeah,
It's the
Yeah.
electric
it goes
one from
south and
two.
it's accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Somebody get a phone.
That would be great.
So that was one thing I did over the Christmas holidays. I introduced Gwen to Gremlins.
nice.
Practically had to twist her arm. It doesn't. And then by the time it was over, she was just staring at it, and I was like, "So what'd you think?" And she just gave it a thumbs up. And I said,
Just-
"Second
there's-
one's better." You know, just because of the more monsters. If they ever make the spider one as a figure, I would love to get
They
that.
did. NECA has it. They've done that
And
one
then
and
the
they've
gargoyle
done
one.
the gargoyle one.
Yeah.
So, but even the for the second one anyway, because you got like Christopher Lee, you got a lot of people in that movie that were just popping up just because they wanted to be in the film. Dick Miller came back to play the neighbor, come visit.
Neighbor, which he should have
Billy.
died because, remember at the police station, they get the phone call. It was a tragic snowplow accident. Something bad has happened. And then miraculously, he's walking in to visit Billy in the big city. And I was like,
Yeah.
no. And they both look. It's his wife walking. So did somebody run in and push them out of the way, and they died saving him? It was a tragic gremlin crushing accident. Yeah, I tried to watch different Christmas movies this year. Then I didn't watch Die Hard. I didn't watch the normal ones. I wanted to watch some of the older ones that I hadn't seen before.
or hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I covered it. We watched The Fat Man with Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson,
and,
awesome. I love
I
that
don't-
movie.
I don't know the actor's name. I just know him as Boyd Crowder from Justified. Walton
Oh,
Goggins. There we go. Walton
yeah.
Goggins. I did remember his name. But yeah, that movie was great. I really enjoyed it. Like me and the kids watched that. It was great. And then I caught this. The BBC did two specials back to back. Well, 2 different years it was before the pandemic hit, with this show called The Goes Wrong Show. And the whole concept of it is it's this amateur theater group trying to put on these plays, and they're terrible at it. Like the sets are constantly breaking down. The actors involved all have personality quibbles with each other that come out in the middle of them trying to do this play in front of this audience. And they did the 2 Christmas specials they did. The first one they did was Peter Pan. And then the second one they did was A Christmas Carol. And if you ever get around to making some time to watch either of them, watch the Peter Pan one, because it is absolutely hilarious. It's just called Peter Pan Goes Wrong. and I watched it, the kids watched it. The kids ended up watching it like 2 or 3 times after we finished it, and like we watched it Christmas Eve going into Christmas Day, then they watched it again on Christmas Day, and I think I caught the daughter watching it again the other day. It was fantastic.
I watched and I don't understand. It's called Encanto, but we call it Enchanto. They did the live stage performance with all the original actors coming back to play their roles. That was really good. And then I watched The Strange World on Disney,
We talked about that.
and I really really loved it. It was good, and it had a twist in it that you figure out if you understand some of the elements and was going. You're like, oh, I know what's going on here. But the fact that they had the turtle at the whole thing,
What is
There was
Are you-
the Earth is on the back of a giant turtle.
Are you trying to connect it
Well,
to
except
Stephen
this-
King's It?
Yeah. Well, not just
well,
that,
except this,
there's-
you weren't. But it wasn't the world on the back of the turtle, right? It wasn't.
No,
full
the
of
turtle was
Discworld,
on the world. I was trying to just
turtle was
make
still
a
on a
hint
planet,
in case
right?
nobody, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the
Yeah,
only
but,
thing.
like,
Earth was a water planet, and it was a giant turtle swimming around.
Yeah.
on it.
But like I wanted to like it more than I did. I just there were some elements to it that I thought were kind of lacking a little bit. Like the fact they kept saying the main character, oh, he's this great, he's in his element as an explorer. Oh, he's a great explorer, but they never really show him exploring. Like the one chance that they show him kind of away from everybody, he's being led around by the weird Gumby creature thing.
Gumby, yeah.
And he's just and he's an idiot. Like the whole time it's like, oh yeah, he's really in his element as an explorer. It's like, but he damn near got himself killed because he was
Multiple
just an
times.
idiot. So
Wait.
yeah.
So what is this like?
That
Is this like John Locke from Lost? He's like, I'm this great explorer, but even though like when his past things are like he wasn't a great person at all, or he wasn't this great
that's
hunter.
kind of right. But like I don't know. I really wanted to enjoy that movie because I miss like crazy. The world that it inhabited was interesting, and I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more
of it
and how it functions and works and all that. Like I like that side of it because I miss Pulps in that vein, right? Where it's them going in and adventuring and experiencing this. It's like that was one of my main issues with Lightyear. I thought that's what it was going to be, him being stranded on this planet and having to find his way through it. And that's not what that movie was at all. It's like I
The
missed
planet
that
became
aspect
secondary.
Yeah,
it was just to move
Yeah.
the story.
Right. But I miss stories like that, right? I would love to see something done more in that vein where it is them experiencing this new world, right? Like I know they've done them to middling to bad success, like with Journey to Center of the Earth and all the rest of that stuff. But
Disney used to do. I mean, if you ever get to see This Island Earth, it's an old Disney movie, and for a long time, Disney wouldn't air it. It was when Disney Plus first came out. It took them a year before it was put into their library because there was some problems with the ownership. And that was that whole exploring giant Zeppelin, traveling to unknown regions of the earth and all this stuff. And that I miss that kind of pulp stories. We don't see that happening too often now.
Well,
But
what's crazy
like
is
Jake
the
Gyllenhaal
closest
playing the brother, the son to Dennis Quaid's
Yeah.
dad. I did not realize that was Dennis Quaid. I was trying to figure out who this voice is. Who is playing the dad in this? I
Yeah.
thought it was what's his name, Gaffigan, the comedian. Because
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard him
Jim
do
Gaffigan.
voices like that, Jim Gaffigan, and I was like, maybe that's him. And then in the end, when it was Dennis Quaid, I was like, wow, mind blown. But then it made sense, if you think back to Day After Tomorrow, he had that same gruff voice, and he's the only one who'll be able to survive this.
I'm back.
But
what's crazy is that the closest we've kind of gotten to a good movie of that I can think of off the top of my head lately was Up, right? Up actually
yeah,
kind
that
of
was one
touched
the
on
last
that a little.
ones, yeah.
Right. And it was great. And I like just find a way to do that again, kind of, I don't know.
Did you watch his Dark Materials on HBO?
HBO? No,
Yeah.
I haven't watched that.
Okay. It is one of my favorite book series. It was one I discovered late in life, and about the same time Percy Jackson started coming out, and I was trying to find books in that same vein to kind of get the Logan interested in reading, and I picked up his Dark Materials, and Josh, Amber's old husband, he had read them, and he was like, "Oh, you'll like them," and I started reading them, and there was that multiverse. It makes such a leap from the first book to the Amber Spyglass to the something knife, and watching them all done, I really didn't like the first
Movie?
season. No, the Compass, Golden Compass was okay, and that was the first book. But the movie had nothing to do with the series. The series starts at the beginning of the books, goes all the way to the final story. I thought it should be done in a 4-season. I thought they rushed some of it to a 3-season format, but it was well done, and it had that element, like the big zeppelins and the flying ships, and that kind of a feel that had a little bit of Final Fantasy in it, but it hit all the right marks, all the emotional marks, and I thought, man, there's no way they're going to give this the ending that it has in the book, and they did it. I was proud of them. They did it, and I just finished that last week, and I waited, and I was watching in 5-episode blocks, so I'd get a good feeling for the story. And then when I got to when the second season was over, I was like, damn it. And I had to wait to the new season. I just blew through I missed those. And they're relaunching the Percy Jackson stories. I'm hoping this time we get something true to the books, because the books were really good. And they got, like Harry Potter, the further they got in the series, the more adult, they matured as the reader was supposed to mature. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they do with that. And then I'm not really sure if I'm all in on them redoing Harry Potter already. That's the big thing Warner Brothers wants to do, is relaunch it. I'm like, you need to wait till the children who grew up watching it grow up and have children of their own. There's a gap here that you're not.
No, there's money to be made.
It's all about money.
It's all about money.
No, it's not like we can tell the story of Tom Riddle, in his process becoming a villain. It's not, we can't do that. We got to just retell what happens to Harry Potter. Oh, wait, we can't even tell what happens to Harry Potter after he graduates and becomes this, professor and all this other stuff.
Well, yeah, they could have done a movie for what was the child, when he's an adult and he's trying to help protect it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, why not do Tom Riddle's story? But they didn't even let us finish Dumbledore's story.
Yeah.
But I would be terrified of them doing Tom Riddle's story with because so many times, like Amber tried watching Cruella recently, right? And this constant need to make the villains this sad, sympathetic
character,
which Tom Riddle is not, right? And we technically have mostly seen Tom Riddle's origin through the flashbacks throughout the movie series, right? So I would worry about them trying to change and alter and do some. I would rather see a sequel to a sequel series. At this point, I'd rather see them do a continuation of the story than try to go back.
Yeah.
And show us something.
Here's your opportunity to make something new. They can make up their own stories. You don't have to, have Rowling write something. You have an established universe, create offshoots. Track down some of Voldemort's henchmen who got away towards the end of them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing a story of what happened to what was his name? Malfoy.
Lucius Malfoy.
Because something happened to his life, because we see his happy ending
at
the end of his
Draco. Yes,
Draco.
Yeah, we saw him change. Yeah. Well, no, I meant Lucius because we didn't see what happened to him after. We did, but not a lot. But the thing is too is like, I hated the fact that they didn't do the ending true to the book anyway. How the final battle with Harry
Well,
and Voldemort
yeah.
was more of a mind game than it was this whole thing of them battle of wills and stuff. And
I
it was
don't
like,
think they were going to be able to do that. It's really hard. Look at what they did with Dreamcatcher. The whole ending of Dreamcatcher is a mental battle
yeah.
between
Well,
the
so
one
is it
brother and the alien.
originally, and so was it originally in the book.
Yeah, and you just that people have a problem translating that to into a visual medium. Um, I'd like to see them go back to some source material. We have so much. I mean, come on, try John Carter again. Do the next book. Have some balls and do something original. There are tons. Carson of Venus. Man, I'd love to see that done. I'd like to see a Pellucidar story where they go to the Earth's core. David Innings. Do those. Man, give us a decent Master of the Universe, and what was his name? There were 3 books that had Reuben. It was Master, and then the something car, and then he tied in with Nemo and the 20,000 Leagues, and then Mysterious Island. Man, you could do those. Don't put them on TV. I don't want to see another made-for-TV or made-for-sci-fi movie with crappy special effects and poor writing. And what's his name from Red Dawn, who seems to be in everything.
Well, honestly, the thing is we going back to something David said real quick about Strange Worlds is like, we kind of got that feel with as far as like the environment and the world that's going on and everything, and the intrigue with Lost in Space. And that only went 3 seasons. That was fantastic. And of course that is, we're never gonna get more of that.
No, that ended.
But
look what they
Conan,
did with Battlestar Galactica. That 5-year run, and now they're looking to relaunch that. I'm like, no. How about we get a good Buck Rogers?
Conan.
How about we
Tarzan.
they've made Conan so many times and do it wrong. I mean, that second remake with what's his name playing Conan had so much potential, but I could have picked 5 stories in there that they could have turned into a film just from the books alone. And
You want to know what? The Ron Howard story that has 1 movie out there that was actually a pretty solid movie, and it's technically an origin. That
Willow?
it would be difficult. It would be difficult for them to do because there's some stuff that goes like there's some aspects to the story that would be a little interesting to see them work around. Is Solomon Kane? The Solomon Kane movie that they did with
solid.
Oh God.
it was solid, and it wasn't an American film. It was originally in German,
No.
all in German. They had to
Yeah,
dub that and everything else to get it
Purfoy.
released here.
God, what's his name? Purfoy's his last name.
James
Whatever.
Purfoy.
Yeah, he did a great Solomon Kane, and I would love to see them do more of that. Again, you'd kind of have to shy away from the whole him going to the African continent and all that kind of stuff. I think they might need to work that a little bit, but I mean, there's a cool story to tell there with Solomon Kane.
There
that
was
you could lean into.
Marvel used to do these black and white pulp. They were bigger than normal comics, but they were illustrated comics. They had Savage Sword. Before that, it was Savage Tales, and it was about Khazar and Cebu, the dinosaur land in the Arctic. You had Punisher, which was really a killer in that because they were all adult aimed. They had a Savage Hulk, and they did a one shot for Solomon Kane where he fought Dracula, and I was in love with that friggin' book, and I would love to see that fight because in the end they duel, and Dracula is a swordsman and all this stuff. It was years after he'd kind of tried to hide away because people had tried to hunt him down, and Solomon figured out he was Dracula, and then Dracula has to try to kill him to hide his secret. And they fight, and Solomon uses a wooden sword to Dracula's rapier. And that just choreographed panel fight scene was just gorgeous. And then that final, right into the heart with the wooden sword. And he kept telling him, "What are you going to do with that? You can't hurt me. You have no edge," and all this stuff. And Kane was like, "I don't have to, I don't have to cut you." And it was all about him and his skill with weapons and a sword, which we didn't really get a lot of that with the Solomon Kane, the last movie. It was all really supernatural pointing.
What about like I know that you always wanted to have like the Sergeant Rock, right? The military.
I want to see a Sergeant Rock film. I want to see Sergeant Rock and Easy Company. I want to see I would love to have seen a Fury and the Howling Commandos, even if they do a horror version of it, like they do in the modern take of it, But those war, what would be a great film? Weird War, which was all about World War II, and every time there was a war, but it had a supernatural bent. And there's been a couple of really good movies. There was one where these American soldiers go into this house recently. They're trying to hide there from a German army that's coming. When you find out that the German army had come in and killed the people there, but the people there were devil worshippers. So the house is haunted, and it's the German soldiers are trying to kill them, but they're ghosts. It was just well done. I love that kind of scary stuff. But you know who else needs to have a movie? Blackhawks. Come on. You did what was the movie with
what, Sky Captain?
Sky Captains? Was that what it was called?
Sky
Captain
and
the World Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
With
Man,
Jude
that is
Law.
straight up Blackhawks. You could do a Blackhawks movie.
So, okay, touching on the war movie thing real quick. I finally sat down. The boy was wanting to watch All Quiet on the Western Front, and we sat down and watched that one. That one was really good. But in the line of, again, going to kind of pulp sort of stories and what you're talking about with the Blackhawks and Sky Captain and all that, since DC loves to take all of Alan Moore's work and convert it into some type of media, he did create a hero, Tom Strong, right? Where it's very anti Alan Moore in the sense that it's all very bright, all very positive. The first time I ever saw the comic and I started reading it, I had to keep going back to the front page and be like, who wrote this again? Alan Moore? Are they sure? No one's been assaulted in like the first issue.
Seconds.
So what is this? This isn't Moore. And so, I mean, that would be something that I think would be pretty cool for them to go in and do, because the Tom Strong series was a from what I recall of it was a really good series.
It had time travel in it involved in it.
Yeah, they had him in an episode of either Justice League or Justice League Unlimited.
I think it was Unlimited. I remember him being in his little group. Yeah. That would be another thing is, DC is so hyped about focusing on its main core characters, where Marvel went in a different route. It brought some of the more obscure characters and gave them something. Can you imagine if the Challengers of Tomorrow had a film from DC? There's all that aspect of that, and then anything Edgar Rice Burroughs, and I'd love to see that. Any Vern, and here's the big thing: nobody touches H.P. Lovecraft.
No,
they skirt around it, they play with it, but nobody's done a real H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, there's been a lot of knockoff movies and the cheapy movies.
What was sad was one of the best Lovecraft movies that I've seen that was specifically Lovecraft was the Nick Cage Color Out of Space.
Color of Space
was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
And what sucked was the fact that the director for that movie was the guy who famously did The Island of Dr. Moreau, right? And that whole debacle with that. And he went away from directing for a really long time, came back to Color Out of Space. And then he actually had a trilogy
for 2 more
of movies. Yeah, that he was going to do. But then I think he got Me Too'd or something, and then he disappeared. And it's like, man.
If it had made more money and had gotten a full theatrical release, it might have been a different story. Because like we said before, money people forgive a lot of things.
Well,
Um,
if we could get Guillermo del Toro to
Guillermo
just
to do
make
in the Mountains of Madness,
yeah.
I could die happy if you go and look at. I wished he'd do the portfolio because he had this whole portfolio done to go around and shop it in the drawings of the city and the pipes that came out from underground that whistled and hummed and when they went into the cave and found the ancient ones, the ones with the star head and all that. It was gorgeous. I would love just to own that book, you know. But I don't know if it came out. I've only seen him online. And he stopped, and maybe I'm glad he stopped because at one point he wanted Tom Cruise to star as the main character in that story. And I was like, no, Tom
You
Cruise
don't want to
is
see
not.
Tom Cruise
No, I don't want to see him
doing
running
his
through
hunt.
and leaping
Yeah, you
over
want to see him
things
do
and-
his Tom Cruise
No,
run, being
no.
chased by giant blind penguins?
Hold on, maybe if it
No,
was Tom
no,
Cruise
I
like
don't.
15 years ago, not
No.
Tom Cruise now.
No, still no.
No. I want somebody who looks like they could survive something, but comes off being an average person. Because the two characters who go into that city aren't Superman. They're not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well,
and
how
I
about
want-
The Rick
Thomas
just like-
Jane? Thomas Jane.
I would love to see a Thomas Jane do something like that, but he's
Yeah.
getting old.
Yeah, he is. Well, you can get
Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just thought about it. There's another Lovecraft, the Cabinet of Curiosities with Guillermo del Toro.
Yes,
The best
there's
episode of
reference
that
in there.
entire series is
It's,
Pickman's model. Pickman's
yep.
model was fantastic. I loved that episode of that series. And so, like, they've shown they can do it. They can go in there. They can do these stories of Lovecraft. It's just getting somebody to sign off. I mean, it's cosmic horror. Cosmic horror is a big thing. Everybody loves it. It's in everything. It's all over the place with everybody.
Everybody borrows
Just go
from
do
it,
it,
but
guys.
nobody ever seems to want to. I mean, we have not had a good, what is it, something, Village at Innsmouth or whatever, the one about the fish people, Deccan, God Deccan. I mean, can you imagine? I would love to see a TV series just about the university and the investigation team that they always send out, just
Well,
so
there goes
much
Miskatonic.
potential material. Masconic University.
Well, going on that
So much
same level
material.
of H.P. Lovecraft thing, I wish we would have gotten more Hellboy movies and stuff besides the two we got. Because it fits right in. You don't even have to have Hellboy in it with Ron Perlman. You could have had the
Well, the
Abe
sad
and
part was they didn't want to pay him. He had to sacrifice so much to get the second one done that he didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm sorry, I didn't mind the guy who played him in the remake of the Hellboy,
David Harbour.
David Hart. But I did not like the CGI heaviness of it. If those had been a little more practical effects, I think that might have worked. But the fact that you could cut her in half and it was all the blood, and it was too much like the ending of Blade when Deacon Frost kept getting cut, but the blood would go back and pull him together. I was like, no, but I liked the Baba Yaga aspect of it. Hell, there could be a movie right there, a whole story, the story about Baba Yaga, and the Three Hairs of the Devil. That would be a fantastic movie. But we just keep getting rehashes of the same stuff over and over and over again. And then they wonder why the movie industry is hurting for money right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's bankrupt of any kind of ideas.
Well, and it goes back to the whole thing is that they're all wanting to do these sure things that are going to make them money. And regardless of what it's going to be, and they want to, of course, pander to an imaginary checklist so that way they can hopefully get people in the seats. But it's like we all watch movies at home now. We don't watch movies as much anymore in the theaters, even though I'm going to go see Avatar. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Forward to it, yeah.
But that's Cameron.
Well,
That's a given.
Well, and the sad thing about it is that, like, there are really imaginative movies. I mean, just in the past year, right? You had stuff like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
All at
Yes.
once, but it
One of
wasn't
the-
made
it was
here.
easy. I get that, but it was one of the best movies of the year, and I mean easily one of the best movies for me of the entire year. And it's like, where was the where was I didn't know barely anything about it. Like I kind of saw like little banners on websites and stuff, but I never really heard a lot of buzz about it until after it came out, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere, and stuff like that. And then
Bullet Train
I was
was
talking
another
to
one.
the wife.
Bullet Train.
Bullet Train was fantastic.
was awesome.
So there are these really good and imaginative movies that exist out there that
But
it's
those are
like
really
they just don't
called
get the same. They don't get the same
avant-garde.
push, and also like what you said, they're foreign, right? Like just going for New Year's night, right? We sat down and watched RRR on Netflix. That
Yep.
movie is one of the most entertaining 3 hours you can spend
Absolutely.
watching something. It is fantastic, and it's what Tollywood I think is what it's called now, but it's the Hindi film, and it felt like this crazy throwback to. I felt like I was watching an 80s action movie that had weird song and dance numbers in the middle of it for some reason, but it felt like that. It was so good because everything was played straight, and it just. Man, I was sitting there and I watched it, and in the middle of the movie, there's a montage scene where you see the two main characters of the movie bonding, and I paused the movie at that point. I turned and I looked at the wife and I said, in that like 5 minutes that we just watched that montage, there was more character development, and I feel more and have seen more of these characters than we've gotten in some shows that are 12 episodes long. And it's crazy. It's like it's so simple because it's like they don't understand that you can just show us. You can show us instead of trying to tell us, because if you just tell us, it's not worth it. You're not seeing it, and when you don't see it, it doesn't exist in this medium. Just because all it is hand waving, right? Like I watched the new Witcher Blood Origin show, and that was terrible. It was the definition of mom, can we have the Witcher? Oh no, we have the Witcher at home. And then it's Blood Origin, right? Is the Witcher they have at home. Like that meme is that stupid show. And
but
like,
the animated movie
they
was
don't-
better than the show.
Yes, the animated movie was fantastic. And it's like, and again, it goes back to they just, I don't understand this. It's like Hollywood has forgotten how to show the story in this medium efficiently, and that's what's so frustrating. Because
Did you see a movie called
foreign
Gray
films
Man?
and they're killing it. Mhm.
The
One more
movie
time?
called
Oh,
Gray Man?
the Chris Evans and
what's his name?
what's Notebook Boy?
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Gosling. No, Blade Runner is Ford. Blade Runner's Ford.
No,
Gosling is
2049.
Notebook.
Well,
2049.
he is the
No.
Ford's like in it for 30 seconds.
No, I've tried watching that movie. I've fallen asleep twice to it. It is 2049 is Thor: The Dark World to me for that movie. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know. I'll try to rewatch it again, but maybe with more sleep, and we'll see if I can get through it. But
okay, there's a lot of them trying to throw you off, a lot of red herrings, and then the ending is kind of predictable.
Yeah.
I gotta say that like movies like Mobster Squad, which was Gosling, it was
Sean Penn,
Brolin,
Roland.
and I miss those kind of movies. You know, I miss Nick Nolte playing those type of characters. I finally got to rewatch a movie that I've loved for forever when Vince found it and put it on our thing. And every character in that movie is set up in one or two scenes with each of them, and you know exactly who they are for the rest of the movie. You don't need to kind of hint at anything. They're introduced in the beginning. You know everything you will ever need to know about those guys. And to me, it was the Wild Bunch remade for a modern audience. You know,
Extreme Prejudice.
Extreme Prejudice, yeah.
Um,
But I mean, that whole ending is straight up Peckinpah's Wild Bunch.
So here's the
Uh,
thing about that. That movie, right? You could retool that movie into a G.I. Joe movie.
Yes, you could have.
And this goes back to my argument with how bad Snake Eyes was. We're never going to get a true to form G.I. Joe movie. And I know I'm ranting a little bit, but I'm going to keep this a little brief. But why can't I get, and the fans get, a film that sets Snake Eyes, Stalker, and Tommy, Storm Shadow, in Vietnam, running that mission that gets Snake Eyes hurt and sends him home? And that way, that's your origin movie. Why can't we get a serious action film for G.I. Joe? Like, it's a Saving Private Ryan type movie, but with G.I. Joe characters. It's, I understand back in the day when it wasn't a toy brand for kids, but G.I. Joe's not a toy brand for kids anymore. You have the 6-inch
Hasn't been that way for a long
classified
time.
line. The comic wasn't even a kid's comic. It was more adult than it was for kids. It was only the cartoon that was goofy and there were serious moments in it, but a lot of times there was goofy moments. So why do you have to cater to that? And then you look at what they're doing with Transformers and stuff. The only movie that was good was Bumblebee. And then now from some of the things that they're doing with Rise of the Beast, take me a step back. It's like,
Well, it's because you know who's involved again.
I know,
Instead of
but
just producing, he's got his hands in the mix. Michael Bay, somebody needs to just take him bungee jumping and accidentally cut the bungee.
you have Mirage in the movie, but he's not a Formula One car. But you give him Jazz's
His body
look,
and attitude.
and it's like, oh man, it's going to be Jazz. Oh yeah, it's going to be Jazz. No, it's not Jazz. And they give him Hound's ability. It's not like.
And then same thing with RC. They're messing RC up.
And then
I don't even want to know what they're going to do to Optimus, Optimal Optimus.
Wheeljack is a freaking Volkswagen van.
The bus, VW bus.
Yeah, the bus. And that explains it right there. I mean, they're not even thinking about it. But on the same level, you're getting Optimal Optimus as a ape. You're getting Air Razor, Rhinox. Yeah. I'd be surprised if I don't get to see Rat Trap in this movie and Dinobot. But then,
and they're doing the whole time travel thing. So they're bringing elements from the show into the movie, but I'm just scared of how bad they're going to mess it up. Because why not if you're bringing what would they call the Maximals? You need to bring their counterparts.
Yeah, you need to bring the Predacons.
Predacons.
Instead of having the Predacons be the villains, you have the Terrorcons, which is a combiner group that forms Abominus. Come on. I'm not getting Hunger. I'm not getting any of the rest of the team. We're getting made up characters for this. It's just as bad as what they did in Bumblebee. And I love Bumblebee, but you have Blitzwing in the movie and he looks like Starscream. But then you have triple changers in the movie that are not part of the universe whatsoever. They may have a name here and there somewhere in the comics, but you could have made Blitzwing the main villain and have him triple changer.
Anytime that Michael Bay makes a movie like this, he's making another movie. And he does these to make money so he can do his other movie. So I'm wondering what project he's really working on that he's going to cash in on his cash cow so he can produce his other movie.
What, Bad Boys 4? Maybe
he could do The Island too.
The Island too. He's going to get Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson back.
He'll call it The Clone Wars.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I think we went off the rails for this episode. I had to go there. I am a big Transformer fan, as most of you guys know, but for the new people in the audience that's watching this podcast, welcome and thank you. But I had a really good time, guys. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Anything else y'all want to kind of say or anything? Or
is Rutger Hauer's passed? Yeah. Somebody resurrect him and make some new movies with him. I'm sorry you said G.I. Joe, but as we go out, Blind Fury was a GI Joe movie.
It's another
sorry.
okay. Well, you know what? And everyone, we will have an episode about GI Joe, and we'll talk about the movies that we feel best represent what GI Joe could be. Like Falling Down is a Cobra Commander origin
Cobra
story,
Commander, yep.
and Blind Fury is, of course, a origin story for Snake Eyes. It works. But in the meantime, everyone, have a great one. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be here next week for episode 66. And well, who knows what's going to go on, but we hope you
I
guys
can't
enjoy.
wait for episode 69.
It's the one before we go live. Peace out, everyone.
Peace out, everybody.
Deuces.